Europe. We're really grateful to have you all here and appreciate you taking time out of what we know are busy days to be with us. My name is Steve Lutz, Vice President for Middle East Affairs at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And I want to recognize and am joined by my colleague, Sarah Carley, Director of the Chamber's U.S. UAE Business Program. Here at the onset, we would ask everyone, if you can, to please mute your systems. We'd be grateful for that. And I'd also mention, if we do have any members of the media with us, if you have questions, to please reach out to myself or Sarah following the session. I also want to take a moment to acknowledge and for their support our partners in the UAE, both at AmCham Abu Dhabi and at AmCham Dubai. And on behalf of the Chamber and our US UAE Business Program, we're delighted to host what is the third installment of our webinar series, Economy 4.0, Innovative Transformation in the UAE. And this series is being done in close partnership with the UAE Embassy here in Washington, DC. For this webinar series, we've explored cutting-edge technologies and innovative developments that are taking place in the UAE with an endeavor to highlight areas for greater collaboration and partnership, also investment in vital policy dialogues that we think are really important to help drive the future of what is an already flourishing bilateral economic relationship. And the U.S. Chamber, through our U.S. UAE Business Program, is bringing together leaders in business, entrepreneurs and investors, along with key government officials, academia, and other stakeholders from both of our countries to further understand the policy priorities and goals and discover those new areas for. We began, as some of you may remember, by focusing on clean energy and sustainability and all of the UAE's efforts as a leader in addressing the challenge of climate change through discussions with the CEO of Masdar and the Ministry of Climate Change. Then we hosted the leadership of both Abu Dhabi Global Market and the Dubai Financial Services Authority to explore the growing digital asset ecosystem in the UAE and the work that's being done to develop a favorable regulatory environment that would foster innovation and position the UAE as a global leader in that rapidly developing sector. And we hope to consider other topics in future webinars in areas like cloud sustainability, robotics, and space, among others. But today we're very excited for our event with this focus on opportunities in genomics and personalized medicine in the UAE. And we're very honored to have our featured guest with us, His Excellency, Dr. Jamal Al Kaabi, Undersecretary of the Department of Health in Abu Dhabi. And he's joined by a panel of experts from 3 leading companies that we'll also hear from. Dr. Jamal, well, we look forward to hearing from you about the developments in Abu Dhabi to create this resilient, sustainable healthcare system and how investing in cutting edge technologies and developing this comprehensive genomic data can help pave the way for the delivery of personalized medicine and ultimately help fulfill your vision for a healthier Abu Dhabi. And I do want to applaud the UAE for its focus on innovation. And certainly this includes the significant progress that's been made in protecting intellectual property and life sciences, and also the Emirates' focus on becoming a hub for clinical research trials. And Dr. Jamal, I know you participated and helped lead earlier this year a session that included many of our member companies. Following remarks by Dr. Jamal, we'll turn to a panel of private sector experts. Let me first briefly introduce our featured guest. Dr. Jamal does have an extensive career that's been devoted to the healthcare sector. His roles have spanned work as a general practitioner to prominent government roles in regulation and policy. In addition, His Excellency has also been featured on health-focused television programs in the region. And Dr. Jamal, I must say, I saw a TED Talk and I saw you talk about your time as a TV personality, very interesting. To his credit, he has extensive experience in the sector, and in 2020, he was appointed as Undersecretary of Department of Health in Abu Dhabi, the same place where he started his career 14 years earlier. I understand he also spent time with Red Crescent in Iraq and as a poet. Dr. Jamal, you're quite the Renaissance man, and we're really delighted to have you with us. And we look forward to hearing your thoughts and perspectives on personalized medicine and what's going on in the UAE and Abu Dhabi specifically. So with that, I turn it over to you and the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's my pleasure today to attend this virtual session with US business community and healthcare leads. Gladly to share with you a glimpse and insights on our ambitious and innovative Genome program. To start with, the leadership of Genome Council, which actually was established and led by His Highness Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and in alignment with our leadership vision to enrich the innovation and research in UAE and contribute to the knowledge-based economy. The Department of Health, in partnership with several leading local and international entities, have launched the Emirati Genome Program with a vision to conduct the biggest genomic project in the world by providing the citizens with their own high-quality genome as a baseline and set the way forward to integrate genomic medicine into Abu Dhabi healthcare system while enabling healthcare innovation and research to improve healthcare outcomes and introduce innovative therapeutics, personalized and precision medicine. It's really important. We here in UAE faced with a lot of chronic disease, which is not really explained to us as regulatory bodies. And we need to understand why specific population develop specific disease. And I think having this program and starting to draw that map of genome for UAE population will help us understand our population. And it is something really ambitious, and we get the support from the leaders to move really fast with that. And with also highest standard and being overseen by a group of local and international genomic experts, and have several parallel work streams, including setting up a cutting-edge national Genomes biobank, infrastructure, capacity, and multi-omics platform using the most advanced technologies in sequencing and artificial intelligence offered by our strategic partner, Group 42, to capitalize on their largest and most technologically advanced omics facility in the region and the first omics center of excellence in the country to analyze data anonymously, eventually to generate a comprehensive genomic map and potentially find breakthrough insight to drive large-scale scientific discovery. On the other hand, develop and launch disease-specific. I will talk into details about this. It's really important. We started at this stage, we have identified 2 flagship programs to address oncology, rare and metabolic disease, based on the prevalence and burden of those diseases. The creation of the unique data assets of the Emirati Genome Program will lead for sure to a unique mineable data set of high value for research. And I think one of the most important lessons that COVID-19 gave us the importance of research. And I think, in UAE, we have limited research capabilities, but with the evolvement of COVID and the clinical trials in regard to the vaccine and the treatment and everything else, gave us big support from the government to create that ecosystem of research. And it is really important for us moving forward. We do value our mutual collaboration with USA Healthcare and life science leads. Me, myself, I feel personally I'm surrounded by US Healthcare. Today in the morning, I have a meeting with Mayo representative who came to visit us and check on our SSMC project, which is done in collaboration with Mayo Clinic. And it's really an interesting discussion in that regard. And this also includes the life science leads, pharmaceutical and research institute. We are looking forward to exchanging the experiences and collaborate in terms of the Genomes flagship program, medical research, and clinical trials. We are looking forward to your valuable engagement and support in our journey to translate the collected genome data into breakthrough and novel therapeutics and build up a mutual platform for research and innovation. And this is one of the message also I spoke previously with representative from pharmaceutical company, because I want them to join us and to come not only to build manufacture here in Abu Dhabi or UAE, but also to create that ecosystem where our clinician can get training at the same time can do research. And because right now there is an appetite for research because of what happened during COVID-19, and there is an acceptance either from the government and from the community itself. And this is what we are looking for in the future. I will give a small presentation about the Genomic program, so we can add some flavor and colors to my talk. So this is exactly introduction about the program and how we want to do it. We want, through the support of our leader, to conduct the biggest genomic project in the world and to become the first country with most of the population genomes are sequenced. And the mission is to develop the infrastructure and technological capacity and to launch Genomic Program. We already started. It is moving really slow in the beginning. Right now, it is more of moderate uptake. We are doing media campaign and so on. But the outcome we are looking for and the goal being set up for this program is to improve healthcare outcomes, economic sustainability, innovative therapeutics, and data-driven healthcare. And the last one is really important, and it is one of the lessons how important the data for any healthcare system in the world. And COVID-19 gave us that also support, because right now we need to understand how this virus evolves, at the same time how we will treat it, how the vaccine, whether it's all depend on data and how we present it in the scientific community, and to get approval for whatever type of intervention we're looking for, either in the vaccine or in the therapeutics. So we have the support, we have the public-private academia partnership, strong governance, robust technology, agile regulations, and this is why we are moving and taking the healthcare system to another level. And we are really excited to see how this project will evolve and what the data and the outcome of this project. At the same time, these are the main, just in detail, about the objectives. As we mentioned, improve healthcare outcome. We need to integrate genomic medicine into Abu Dhabi healthcare system. We have to have that genome blueprint for UAE nationals. And also, we will start talking about predictive, personalized, and precision medicine. And R&D is really will fall in into this category. How can these data help us also being innovative in the treatment? It's really important because we have an issue of obesity, oncology, cardiovascular disease, metabolic disease, as I mentioned, rare disease. We started to see rare disease happening in our country, and sometimes we need to understand them and what are the possibility by having these genomic data to help us produce such innovative therapeutics for these diseases. And in the economy, I think by just establishing a genomic medicine industry will enable innovation and economic growth, because there is so different application for this part of medicine. And we know it is cost-effective healthcare system and platform for research and medical sciences and so on. Data, I will not stress more how important it is, but we need to base our healthcare initiatives according to the data. And right now we are missing that in regard to understanding the population, but by having these data set from Genomic project, we can utilize cutting-edge technology, we can advance sequencing for high efficient and accurate massive parallel sequencing and so on. What we are looking for, as we mentioned, the personalized medicine and improve rare disease diagnosis. These are top priority. Reduce neonatal fatality, develop a next oncology treatment, and reduce birth defects. These are actually the core value proposition. And the program is actually being structured in a way where actually we can start doing screening on the right side, and we create that national biobank. We have all the information, and then we have that exchange platform where actually data being stored and analyzed. At the same time, the lab is connected there for sequencing. We can introduce the artificial intelligence, and the journey continue. we can tackle first the metabolic disease, oncology, and we can, by doing that analysis through diagnostic test, through all the different intervention, we can reach, understand why rare and metabolic disease is happening, what are these, how can they be prevented, and so on. And we move on for the oncology and so on. So at the end, maybe the outcome will be new discovery, maybe new novel therapeutics, and development in lifelong health services. This is just a nutshell, an insight about this program. We are trying ourselves to support it from a regulatory perspective. We want to expand it. We want to involve also other Emirates. And I am ready to answer any question in that regard. I hope this was beneficial. I try to make it really summarized.
Well, Dr. Jamal, thank you very much. It's actually quite comprehensive, and it was very interesting, the emphasis that you placed on, the idea of data-driven healthcare, as well as, the importance that you mentioned. One of the biggest takeaways from COVID-19 has been the importance of investing in research. And I wonder if you could speak to whether, from your perspective, the pandemic has either, led to kind of a renewed focus and propelled things forward in this effort, or, what impact has the pandemic had on the effort with this really important project?
I think last year, for example, I will tell you exactly how this program evolved, actually, with different elements that being highlighted during the pandemic. For example, if I take the data itself, huge effort was pushed toward establishing what we call Malafi program, which connect all the healthcare system together by providing the data for the leaders to do the analysis required. Secondly, the research capabilities was enhanced. And I will be honest with you, the amount of paper that was published during last year, actually, when I calculated it, it equal to 5 years in the past. So huge push toward R&D. Third, the innovation itself. We saw so many testing capability. We tested so many new technology in order to tackle this. Putting these dots together and connect them, they actually play an important role as an infrastructure for this program. And this is why, for example, Group 42, our partner, they established their lab during 2020. And there is a need to move really fast to establish that genomic lab. Secondly, we created the infrastructure for regulatory framework for supporting research in the field. Third, we have also local capability from genetic expertise who are actually working in our hospitals. We connected them with this program, and they are right now part of this program. So all of these being supportive, and we're actually put on fast track because of the COVID-19. And I'm a person who is being honest in regard to the COVID-19. I'm really thankful for having COVID-19 for pushing us through innovation, through research, through improving ourselves to tackle this pandemic. And I cannot believe, for example, in the beginning, we could have do 1,000 tests per day, but right now we are doing 200,000 tests per day. And this tells you how fast the healthcare system moved toward improving the capability and the infrastructure. I remember also the trial itself. It was like a shock for me when they told me that they want to do a clinical trial here in Abu Dhabi. It was something new, and I never thought that one day I will have around 100 or 200 participants. You will not believe it. At the end of the trial, we could have managed 30,000 participants in a country where no previous clinical trial was done. And this is because of the COVID itself. So people understand now what is the meaning of a clinical trial. And when we start the Genomic Program, they understand that this is really important for their health. We have participants coming and giving a blood sample for this program. they start also talking about healthcare in their majlis, our social gathering, and how really it is important. So you have the support from the community for any new initiative. You have built the infrastructure that you need. And right now we are moving really fast toward this project. And I don't think without what we have done through the COVID-19 last year and the establishment of these lab and infrastructure, we could have managed putting this program right now in the way and moving really fast.
No, that's very interesting. And to your point, I think while we know what the toll has been, the unfortunate massive human toll around the globe of COVID-19, it's equally important to embrace the blessings that have come through this and to build on the momentum of some of the positive dynamics that have come out of it. And if you could speak to, I would love to hear your thoughts on, you mentioned a partnership obviously with Group 42, but we've got companies, a variety of companies on here on the line, and we're going to pivot and hear from some of them shortly. But what would be, in your mind, the opportunities for partnership with this project that you're doing there in Abu Dhabi, and even more broadly for US companies, kind of across the range of the healthcare chain? You know, you have the innovative life sciences companies, you have medical device companies, you mentioned Mayo, you know, you have the hospitals and the providers. So where do you see opportunities for US companies to work with you to help carry this forward?
I think, first of all, there is a lot of areas for collaboration. So Group 42 right now is our partner, and it is really a beginning. And I think, first of all, collaboration with Group 42 itself and on the storage and the analysis of these data is really one of the important area. Secondly, lab capability will require a lot of expansion for their lab. And I think any company who can help improving whatever available, because this is like a start for us. We are as I mentioned, we want to do it really to be the biggest project in the world, and this is actually will carry a burden on the infrastructure that you need to do a lot of work. And right now we are starting with Emirati. Next maybe will be the non-Emirati population require also something similar, and this is where actually we want. Second is the analysis itself. For example, I put two examples here. If I give the data set, who will help us do the analysis? Who will help us read and provide these information back to the government, and what type of intervention is required? Third, when it comes to the patient themselves, I know there is a require and huge demand for genetic counseling. I don't know whether there is somebody who can tackle this in the future, because this will require a lot of genetic counseling with patient themselves to give them the information back and to tell them exactly what they can do about their health and future. Fourth is the technology around it. It's really a big area, because at the end, I think I will carry my genetic map with me, but I will not know what to do with it. So how can I read it? There need to be mobile application development, connection, consultation, all of these to be part of the whole system in the future. And I think when it comes also for understanding the disease and how can we treat them, how can we prevent them, here will come pharmaceutical companies. When they come and see what is happening in Abu Dhabi in regard to the genetics, they can help us, for example, do some research here in Abu Dhabi, and we work together with them. And this is something I will be myself interested in, to do that research, to at least find one disease which is common in our community and develop a therapeutic for it. And this is really will be one of the biggest achievement, that if we can achieve that goal. And I think so. Again, we go back to the basics. It is research, help with the research, with the technology, with data analysis and sequencing, and that's it.
Well, you've outlined a lot of different areas for potential partnership and collaboration, and we thank you for that. And again, it's very interesting to hear, how you talk about data and research and it all coming together, with these technologies. And I also have to say, it's also to your credit, the emphasis that you've placed on having the agile regulations and strong governance, that it's one of the 4 enablers. And as the US Chamber, that's one of the things that we're constantly talking to governments about on behalf of the private sector, is the really how much it must be a priority to have that welcoming environment, to attract the investment, to attract those collaborations. So again, a credit to you and the team there in the Emirates for putting an emphasis on that, because that's vital, to encouraging the private sector to come in and work with you on these things. But
I think if you allow me, in regard to the regulation, I will give just a small example that happened during COVID. We are responsible of licensing health professionals to work in Abu Dhabi. And sometimes it takes around 3 to 6 months to finish the data flow and to check on credentialings and so on. But during COVID, you cannot wait, because you need that health professional to work immediately if there is a need for him to join, for example, ICU. So what we implemented as a regulator is emergency, what we call emergency license. This was done in 1 hour. So if me myself, I'm a physician by education, and I understand sometimes there is a need. And yes, regulation was put for a reason to organize any healthcare system, but sometimes you need to have that flexibility around different situation. Today, you will have, for example, new innovation. It is not mentioned in your policy, how you will allow it in your hospitals. So you need to act immediately. And this is what happened during last year. Today, one of the discussion with Mayo, for example, they have AI technology. And they said, Jamal, you approved it in 2020, but still your team is not allowing us to do it. And there is no justification from a regulatory perspective to stop this from happening, because it is cost effective, it is evidence-based, and because it is a new technology, the team requested more documents, more study, and so on. And this is a habit that a regulatory body, they prefer to do, and they take their time, but sometimes it is a matter of preventing a disease or preventing a cancer. It's really important to start immediately. And I spoke with Mayo today. I told them, rest assured, 24 hours, we'll approve it for you guys. It is something I believe that can help, and so on. And these are type of discussion whenever there is a new technology, new innovation happening in the system. This is where the regulator need to help the private. And I think during 2020, we have good support from our private sector. They helped us a lot during the COVID-19. We in Abu Dhabi did something really unique, where actually we identify specific hospital for COVID management, and we left the private free of COVID. They can continue handling non-COVID patients. So I don't touch their business, for example. And this was something really appreciated by the private. And actually they help us, because during the COVID, there are reports saying that COVID patient, yes, he got infected, but the most important damage is not to forget non-COVID patients who have chronic illness and they stay home, they are not coming to the hospital. By doing that, the private actually helped us a lot. We did really great job during that collaboration. And I really appreciate that opportunity where private public partner happened, and they are working really smoothly in that regard, with the help of the regulator to overcome any challenges for both public hospital and private.
Well, thank you for elaborating on that. And I have to say it's refreshing because having an open door policy, having such a close collaboration with the private sector is not only welcome, but encouraged from our perspective, but it's not always the case. Showing that that's the tact, that's the strategy that you have is to be applauded. And thank you for that. Dr. Jamal, I want to invite you to stay. I want to pull into the conversation some of our company experts and would love to have you hear from them. And first, I'm going to go to Dr. Andrea Stevens. She is the Co-Diagnostics Market Access Director at Johnson & Johnson's Global Commercial Strategy Organization. She joined J&J in in March of 2020 following 7 years in market access consulting, culminating in her appointment as Director of Value and Access at the WG Group. She's passionate about personalized medicine. And Andrea, Dr. Andrea, I want to turn to you first. And if you could tell us, how you view personalized medicine, what is it from your perspective, and why is this important to Johnson & Johnson?
Thanks very much. So at J&J, we feel that the objective of personalized medicine is to combine precise understanding with precise diagnosis and precise therapy, providing the right treatment to the right patient at the right time, but for every patient, every time. And this is truly in keeping with our credo at Johnson & Johnson. And it's aligned with our values, where our first responsibility is to the patients and to those who don't respond to current standard of care, providing the greatest unmet need that we can address with precision medicine.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for kind of teeing up the topic. Next, I want to move to Mazen Gamal, and he's a pharmacist by background with over 18 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry, a mix of local and global experience in multiple roles that range from sales and marketing to market access, with his longest experience being in health policies development. And currently, Mazen is leading the government affairs effort at Roche Pharmaceuticals, and it's a joint vision between Roche Pharmaceuticals and Roche Diagnostics under the name of One Roche, which aims to continuously support the transformation of healthcare systems by developing a sustainable outcome-based healthcare delivery. Mazen, I want to come to you and a similar question, but if you could talk about Roche's focus toward precision medicine as part of your global vision, and how your that overview envisions precision medicine impacting people's lives.
Thank you very much, Steve, and thank you for your excellency for the presentation, because it paves the way for what I'm going to say now. Basically, we at Roche, we believe that every single patient deserves to have the right diagnostic in the right time, as mentioned by our colleagues from Johnson & Johnson, and the right treatment on the right time, and the right follow-up after the treatment, also in the right frequency and the right time. And here I'm talking about the full patient journey, from once the patient starts to express the symptoms till after the treatment. I can say that Roche has a strong privilege of having both the diagnostics and the pharmaceutical under one roof. And this gave us the chance to understand more how the patient journey looks like, and in the same time, how the treatment plan is triggered after the diagnosis. This raised the value of personalized healthcare or precision medicine to a very high level, because basically you can see the difference of how the patient outcomes looks like if we follow the concepts of personalized healthcare, or we don't follow the concepts of personalized healthcare. So Steve, to answer your question directly, simply we envision the personalized healthcare that it starts with the patients and end with the patient. Imagine that you have a detailed profile for your patient. And when I say detailed profile, I mean to the level of the genomic profile of the patient. And then you design the treatment plan based on this genomic profile. This opens the door for high flexibility of choosing the right treatment for the right patient and following up the outcomes for this patient. And also imagine that this outcomes is being captured, analyzed, and the insights is used to re-inform the patient journey again. So basically you are building a self-learning system that can really start by the patient, based on the patient profile, customizing the treatment plan and re-informing the treatment for the patient again, either for the same patient or other patients who have different profiles. So this is simply how we in Roche envision the personalized healthcare in all over the world. And we hope that one day the personalized healthcare will be the foundation and the base for healthcare delivery in all the healthcare systems in all over the globe.
Very interesting. And I want to come back to both of you, with a more granular perspective in the UAE. But first, I want to go, to our third panelist, Dr. Alessandro Ricombini, Head of Precision Medicine for Amazon Web Services. He has more than 13 years of experience in genomics research, product development, and business strategy across the United States in the EMEA region. Prior to joining AWS, Alessandro was Director of Business Development at DNA Nexus, supporting collaborations between public and private sector to enable population-scale genomic initiatives. In industry, he has led the development of cloud platforms for bioinformatics and commercial services for gene editing. And he started his career in research and leading products in oncology and infection biology. And Alessandro, I want to ask you your first question. Amazon Web Services, you're not a precision medicine company. So what does precision medicine mean for AWS and your customers and clients?
Thanks, Steve, for your kind introduction and for the question, and thanks, Dr. Jamal, for an excellent presentation. It's indeed probably one of the most exciting projects worldwide in genomics right now. So it was great to hear about the project directly from the source. In terms of what is precision medicine from AWS, I would say precision medicine for Amazon Web Services has been one of our key domains when it comes to supporting customers in healthcare. We have been supporting national scale projects in genomics and precision medicine for more than 8 years. We started with exomes, we moved into the hundreds of thousands of exomes. Think about the Discover project between Regeneron and Geisinger. And in the last few years, there's been an acceleration of the amount of data and the amount of projects, the amount of initiatives centered around cloud infrastructure. And this has been possible because of 3 key ingredients. First, the ambition and vision of our customers. Think about AstraZeneca's 2 million genomes initiative. Think about the work that Genomics England or UK Biobank are doing. Second, our partners. Every day, a new technology partner comes online, leading a wave of innovation. We started with secondary analysis, and today, when we look at petabytes of data, which are growing into the exabytes, the technological challenges are bringing a new generation of companies into this market. And when it comes to precision medicine, what we do is really develop a deep understanding of the challenges that the different players in the landscape are facing. Some of our partners are enabling the data owners, the data controllers, the national governments, which are going to generate decentralized repositories, having to manage complex multi-omics data sets for the long term. From the other side, you have the data consumers, pharmaceutical companies, which need to bring together data sets from very different data sources with different consent models, different regulatory aspects. And for us, precision medicine is really to connect the dots around the landscape, making sure that we can do our best between our services and our partners to remove the undifferentiated heavy lifting of making the data accessible and consumable. We have been doing this for a long time, and as the sector keeps growing, there's no slowing down, it seems.
Well, thank you for that, Alessandro. And it's always interesting to hear a perspective, from AWS, somebody you don't naturally think of when you have these conversations, but it ties in. Dr. Jamal had mentioned so much about the data-driven healthcare. And I did want to come back, Dr. Stevens, if I can, kind of a 2-part question. When you think of the programs in the UAE, what are the challenges that you would associate with successful implementation of precision medicine programs? And likewise, what would you say are the critical success factors for implementation of precision medicine in the UAE?
Well, I mean, I think what His Excellency was talking about is so exciting that really all of these things are already being kicked off. The challenges that we anticipate, we call them the 4 A's: access, availability, awareness, and adoption. So access, physical and financial barriers to testing, availability of the actual tests, approved diagnostics, quality, laboratory developed tests, and how to manage those. Awareness through clinical and laboratory guidelines governing testing, and also from regulatory perspectives as well. And adoption, so having our prescribers believe in the value of precision medicine and wanting to order the testing that's going to really benefit their patients. And we also have a challenge with engagement with multiple different stakeholders that are not necessarily part of our traditional therapeutic journey. So expanding our stakeholders to the diagnostic stakeholders, the pathologists, the laboratories, the diagnostic manufacturers. So understanding and engaging with these stakeholders is incredibly important and can be a challenge in some regions. And as for the critical success factors for implementation of precision medicine in UAE, Johnson & Johnson are dedicated to a partnership that will ensure innovative identification of biomarkers and development of precision medicines specifically for this population. And His Excellency spoke to that very eloquently around how we're going to have all this data available. And we are really interested in co-creation of this evidence and also analysis of this data that's really going to help shape what precision medicine looks like in the region. We want to focus on inclusion in guidelines for testing and quality testing within a laboratory network. With the best will in the world, 1 or 2 laboratories just isn't going to cut it. We do need to set up a network of quality testing with ensuring all those barriers we talked about are broken down and there is full access to testing for the patients. Also understanding funding of testing, whether this can be through private payers, through pharma pay, ensuring we have the evidence required to drive those decisions to ensure that the testing is going to be paid for, and overall education of stakeholders, the patient, the physician, the pathologist and the payer, ensuring that all have a true understanding of the importance of precision medicine, why it's so important to cover the testing and ensure that it's available. So hopefully that answered the 2-part question. Happy to hear what the rest of my colleagues have to say too.
And Mazen, a very similar question. Yeah, zooming into that local perspective, if you could speak, from your perspective there at Roche to the readiness of the local healthcare ecosystem, to utilize precision medicine, and any thoughts that might expand on what Dr. Stevens had said with respect to the challenges or hurdles.
Well, actually, thank you very much. I believe that the presentation that was presented by His Excellency shows us clear how much the system in UAE is ready for something like this. And thanks, Dr. Stevens, because you almost covered all the elements that we see that can be needed to make personalized healthcare a reality. So maybe I will add one element that we see that it is very important, and it actually triggers all the stakeholders to start to think in a different way, is the actual vision that His Excellency presented in the beginning. Because when we are talking about the genomic project, it's not only about the genomic sequencing of the patients, but practically you are linking the patient genomic profile with the history and the medical data of this patient. This will enrich the wealth of data that's available dramatically and opens for an unlimited foundation that can impact all the elements of the healthcare system, starting by the patient themselves, the physicians, the providers, the payers, and the pharmaceutical companies, and of course, the regulator who is supporting all of this. So what I'm trying to say that this vision triggered the readiness on all the elements that is required for personalized healthcare to be a reality in the country. So if I would reply to your question, Steve, that how we see the readiness of UAE for something like this, I believe UAE is one of the most ready countries to take this forward and make it happen in the soonest time possible.
Well, thank you both. It's encouraging to hear, and it ties in well, I think, with His Excellency's presentation. And Dr. Jamal, I do want to come back to you at the end, but I want to ask Alessandro one question, and then we'll turn to you to tie this all together for us. But Alessandro, if you could speak to the precision medicine landscape in Europe and give any perspective on that, where I know that you've been doing, you and AWS has been doing some work, and some of the lessons learned that you might be able to help bring to the UAE.
Sure, happy to answer. So if you look at the European region, there's a lot of ambition about replicating the initial efforts of pioneers like Genomics England or UK Biobank. Today, there are probably over 7 million genomes that are being sequenced across more than 20 European countries. If 1 exabyte of data, sensitive data, which needs to be stored for the next few decades or for an unlimited amount of time, needs to be made accessible for research, needs to be utilized to foster a wave of innovation with collaborations between public and private sector while protecting the privacy of the patients. How you do this in practice in Europe changes country by country, or in cases like Germany, for example, state by state. One of the most ambitious initiatives right now is in Germany, in the European Union's Beyond 1 Million Genomes initiative, where 24 countries are committed to creating the research infrastructure to share data from at least 1 million patients. This really means setting up federated research infrastructure, which from one side needs to make the data available, obliging to the obligations and the challenges that the data controllers, the governments are facing. And from the other side, and you create a robust enough infrastructure that allows pharmaceutical companies like Janssen, for example, to bring together data sets from the Beyond 1 Million Genomes initiative, data sets that sometimes cannot leave the country borders. Collaboration is really paramount to make the most of all this data. And because of this, I think that the regulatory aspects are going to be a consideration that needs to be done as soon as possible for any such project, especially from the perspective of taking your knowledge, your results, your data, and opening them up to international collaborators.
Well, Alessandro, thank you for basically bringing forward that important consideration, balancing the challenge of the data collection and the information sharing among a myriad of different stakeholders and the privacy needs. So thank you for bringing that conversation forward. And I know it's something when we talk about cross-border data flows that the Chamber has been very active in working with many of our member companies. And I do want to thank you, Dr. Ricambini from AWS, Dr. Stevens from Johnson & Johnson, and Mazen from Roche for taking time out and participating in this and giving air to a lot of private sector perspective on this important effort that's going underway in the UAE. And Dr. Jamal, I did want to come back to you, Your Excellency. You've heard from these three companies, of course. They represent a number of other companies, but we were delighted to have them at the table to hear from. I'd love to hear, Dr. Jamal, having heard from those three, any reactions that you might have, any thoughts, and you're welcome to kind of try to tie all of this together. And again, we appreciate you being with us today.
Thank you, Steve. I think the main message is the appetite is there from everybody to support this program. And it is not only for UAE, for all the world. And listening to all these insights from different companies, it shows me where we are going exactly. And this is the future of medicine we are talking about here. And it requires a lot of efforts in different specialty, as I mentioned previously, the research, diagnostic, and innovation, and so on. So any genomic program will not succeed without that support and without putting that into consideration for the future. So I'm thankful to hear these insights, and I think I'm now reassured that we are in the right footstep to start pushing the genomic program toward the vision that we are aiming at. And I think it's a really important step for UAE to establish this program. And there is no better moment than this time, actually, for starting this program with the leadership support, with the infrastructure that we have, at the same time with the research capability and the partners from the private that are willing to support the success of this program. I'm really thankful for this opportunity, and I cannot say more about this. Please, I think let's hope that UAE will put an example of how a genomic program can be a successful program for the future.
Well, Dr. Jamal, thank you. And yes, you definitely have, I think, willing participants from the companies, no question about it. And because we think it's important, in this virtual world that we're also starting to transition back to in-person things, that these webinars that we're doing as part of this series not just be a one and done, or a one and then we just go back to our day job, so to speak, So we're eager, to carry forward the conversation and look to perhaps having workshops in collaboration with partners in the UAE. I see Jeff Kiprikos on there. Perhaps it's with our friends at Pharmag, who I know you've known and worked with on that effort in clinical research. But we'd really like to carry forward this conversation and broaden it to include our friends like at AWS and others. So we'll be in touch again, because I think there's a lot of work still to be done, and this collaboration is really important to carry forward. So we thank you for your time and all of your leadership and efforts. And we do look forward to continuing the momentum and contributing to the effort. So with that, Dr. Jamal, thank you again to our panelists and everybody who took time out of your day. We're grateful for that. And to our friends, of course, at the UAE Embassy, our partner in this webinar series, we're grateful for that. And do stay tuned to future discussions that we'll look to have. And as I mentioned, any company that's interested in being part of the discussion on this specific topic, please do reach out to Sarah or myself, both of us, and let us know that you're interested, and we'll look forward to include you in that. So thank you all, and we wish you the best of your day. And Your Excellency, again, thank you for making time to make that presentation. That was very helpful. Thank you, everybody. And with that, we're adjourned and we conclude the session. Thank you.
Thank you.